This is my iPhone 17 Pro setup. In the last video, I showed you guys some of my favorite accessories that help me make my phone into a productivity device. But in this video, I want to share what's actually on my phone, especially as somebody who cares a lot about reducing the screen time and using their phone as a utility device. So I'm going to go through my lock screen, the apps I actually use, and at the end, I also share with you some crucial settings and shortcuts that I've set up that really changed the way I use iOS. So let's get right into it. So first, we got the lock screen. So if you've been seeing some of the shorts I've been posting on this channel, then you've probably already seen the video that I made about this, but this is actually a dynamic wallpaper that you can set in a date and you can see how many days are left until your goal. This is really useful if, for example, you have like a big test coming up or you have like a marathon. For me, I have my birthday as like the end date. And so basically I can see how many days are left until my birthday. And personally, I just find this to be really motivating. Like I've used this browser extension on my computer that shows me my age throughout my entire 20s. Even on my website, I recently added this module that you can see how old I am in real time. I just find that to be really motivating so that I don't waste any days doing stuff that I don't want to. But yeah, if you want to use this wallpaper, it's actually completely free. It's called the Life Calendar. All you have to do is go to this website, you put in the date, and then you just set it as your wallpaper and add a shortcut, and then it'll update every day. So it's pretty neat wallpaper. But besides that, on the lock screen, I have the calendar widget on the top. So that just shows me what things I have going on today. On the bottom, I have this widget here, which is just my steps for the day. Like today, I've only hit 1,000 steps. I didn't really go out today, but hopefully I can still get 10,000 later when I go to the gym. On the bottom left, there's a search, and this basically just searches my Obsidian Vault. So I can just search for something really easily just from the lock screen. And then on the right, this is a camera app that I use sometimes, and it's just like a cool vibe when you take photos with this. So I have that on the lock screen that I can still use sometimes. Obviously, I can still access the normal camera either by swiping right, or I can just hit the button on the left, which gives me the regular camera. On the left side of the lock screen, I have some widgets. So I have on the top here, that's Things 3, that's the to-do app that I use. And so I can just see what are the most important things I have to do today. I have the battery, and then also have brick time. I talked about this in the last video, and basically it's this thing that you can tap with your phone that will lock out a list of apps that you select. And it's meant for people to help them reduce their screen time, but I like to use it just to block out notifications entirely. But later in the video, I'll also talk about algorithmic feeds and how I go about not wasting too much time on my phone. This is what my home screen looks like. This definitely doesn't look that minimal, and I'm not a minimalist, but compared to the previous iPhone setup I had a really minimal setup that I really liked. But because of the latest update to iOS, that setup no longer works. Like it just looks really bad right now. So I've kind of reverted back to a regular looking home screen layout. And until there's a better solution for that, I'm just going to stick with this for now. And I'm kind of used to this now, honestly. But yeah, I want to go through the different categories of apps and show with you some of the most useful apps that I'm using every single day. So first up right here on the top left, this is a habit tracker from this app called Ripples. And even though I mainly track all my habits in my journal every day, I still like to have this like visual reminder of how many times I worked out that week when I don't have my journal on the go. One of the reasons I like this app is because you can set up a shortcut automation so that it updates your habits automatically. So for workout, when I start a workout on my phone or anywhere else in Apple Health, then it'll add a checkbox here. So I don't actually have to click anything. And if I wanted to track it manually, I can just tap it right here without going to the app. So that's pretty neat. But this widget right here is actually scrollable. So I also use this area to track my vitamins if I took them every day. And that's pretty much it for this app, Ripples. All right, so this first app right here is Perplexity. So I've talked about this a few times on the channel, but this is my favorite app that I use every day for AI or reading about the news. The reason why I like this app over the other apps is because you can choose between any of the top leading models just with one subscription. You also don't need to use a subscription if you don't want to. But yeah, right now I'm using Claude Opus 4.6, which is my favorite one. Compared with other AI chat apps, first, the AI hallucinates way less because every single search you put, they're checking it against multiple sources and then they also cite it. And second, they also have a much better result visually for whatever it is that you're searching. So for example, if I search like Apple stock, it'll actually show a widget of what the stock is, and I can learn more about it or ask questions about it. And if you compare that to a regular app, like for example, this is what it looks like in Claude, you just get way less information for the same question. On the top right here, I can also click on links. So this would be pretty similar to like a Google result. And the third would be images. So this would be pretty similar to like Google Images. So on the top right here, these are their synthesized news articles. This is probably the main way that I get new news these days, because a lot of news apps like Apple News, there's like a lot of sensational titles and built-in bias. So I find that this really can just give me the information without following any like politics or anything like that. So skipping the stock and weather app, this next app right here is called Feed. And this is a RSS feed app. So if you don't know what RSS is, you can basically subscribe to different blogs or YouTube channels, news, and aggregate them all into a single feed. And I use this app to track podcasts I'm listening to, blogs I follow, and also YouTube feeds. So the YouTube feeds is actually a pretty nice feature because you can just follow the people that you're subscribed to without having to open the YouTube app or see a bunch of other recommended videos. Yeah, if there's things you follow, I highly recommend using an RSS feed app to track them. But moving on, this next row right here are my messaging apps. So I have WhatsApp, Signal, Beeper, and Line. And the only one really worth talking about right here is Beeper. So Beeper is an app that you can use to aggregate a lot of your messaging apps into a single place. I also use this on my computer to have all my messaging apps in one place. You can also connect to WhatsApp and Signal, but the only thing is you kind of miss out on the built-in features of the app like stickers. So I haven't done that for these two apps. I've logged into like my Instagram, Discord, Telegram, and Slack. Especially with Instagram and X, it's nice that I can separate the feed from the DMs. So I don't have to open up the feed every time I want to reply to somebody or message someone. Yeah, of course, we got Line for Japan. That's the one they use here. All right, so moving on, this next row, this is my language learning row. The first app right here we got is Anki. So if you don't know what Anki is basically a extremely amazing human innovation. Basically, we've solved memory with this thing called spaced repetition. So Anki has an algorithm that calculates the optimal time for you to review a car so that you will remember it forever. And all you have to do is to do it every day. So I use it to study Japanese and to remember different things that I learned. If you're interested in Anki, I did make a video about this. It's one of the first videos I made on my channel, so I'll link that if you want to check it out. This next app right here, this is called Playco. This is a Chinese to English dictionary. So I grew up in Taiwan, but I haven't lived there for like 10 years now. So I often forget a bunch of different words, especially the readings of them. And what's nice about this one is that it has a super large dictionary and I can easily just write words and look them up. But yeah, that's Playco. The next app right here is called Japanese. So this is pretty similar to the other app, except it's for Japanese. This also has a super comprehensive dictionary. It has basically every single word, including slang, and it's really easy to search for stuff. This last app on this row, this one is called Daijin. This is a Japanese to Japanese dictionary. So this one's actually made for natives. Because I've been studying Japanese all the time, most of the time I like to look words up using the Japanese dictionary. And I think this one looks kind of sick because it actually gives it to you in like vertical text. But moving on from the language learning row, this next row is sort of like the media row. So the first one here is Safari. One habit I've consistently kept up over the past few years is being really intentional with my screen time. And so I want to share with you how I'm able to do that while still having social media on my phone. So if I'm accessing social media, I like to do that through the Safari browser. And the reason I like to do it through the browser is because you can actually install extensions on the browser to help you make the feeds less addictive. So for example, let me just show you. So I have YouTube loaded up right here. I've turned off YouTube Shorts and I've turned off YouTube thumbnails. So you can see the feed is a lot less distracting and I can still go to my subscriptions or I can watch a video from here. I've also done the same thing, for example, on Twitter. I've turned off photos and videos and I can just use this platform as a text-only platform. On YouTube, you can do this with the app called Untrap for YouTube and you can customize everything, including the font. And on other social media, you can use this app called Social Focus. It's made by the same developer, but there's a ton of different customizations you can make on every single platform. So if you spend too much time on social media, which I did before, I highly recommend you either hide the apps or delete the apps and just access them through the browser with an extension like this. So the next app right here is the default iOS book app. So I think this app is pretty underrated. It's actually really powerful. You can upload your own ebooks and it syncs it across all your devices. You can buy books from their massive library and audiobooks, and there's no subscription. So I quite like the Books app. It also works really well and is super beautiful. The next app right here, this is my favorite app that I use to listen to music, and it's called My Classic. This app connects to your Apple Music, so you can either upload your own songs or you can connect to an Apple Music subscription. I like this app a lot because it reduces a lot of decision fatigue and distractions. All I have to do is to go and click on shuffle songs, and then I can listen to songs. They also have a kind of like a cool video camera, like this retro video camera that I've shown in a video before. But yeah, that's this app called My Classic. One thing I kind of like about this is when you're scrolling through, there are these pretty satisfying haptic feedback. All right, but yeah, that's it for My Classic. Okay, so this folder is called self-hosting. And if you don't know what self-hosting is, it's basically you can make it so that you can connect to your own computer and browse your own files. So instead of using Spotify, for example, you can connect to your computer and play files locally from your computer on your phone. I recently started doing this. I recently started getting to self-hosting. Maybe you've heard of it before from PewDiePie's video, but I have a few apps here. I'll kind of just quickly go through them. So the first one is Jelly TV that I can use to watch movies or TV shows from computer. So the next one is called Imish, and this one's pretty sick. It's a Google Photos clone that you run on your computer, and you can connect to it from your phone. So you could use it to back up photos from your phone to your computer. This third one is called Music. It connects to my local library of music. This one is called Still for audiobooks. This one is called Jump, and this allows you to remotely log into your computer if it's running at home. So this has come in handy a bunch of different times, and I also talked about this in the last video, but basically you can log into your computer remotely with your phone, and then you can have a keyboard and mouse set up and actually be using your computer outside. So you could use this on the iPad and phone.
One app, if you want to connect to your computer, I would recommend is called Termius. So with Termius, you can SSH into your terminal, and you can also access your files and even use Cloud Code.
This app is called Tailscale, and that's what connects your phone to your computer directly. Like it creates this connection. And then this last one is called Apollo, and you can use this to run local LLMs. So you can run them directly on the phone, or you can run them on the computer and then remotely log into it. So that's what I have set up here. I have like Qwen 3.5, 35 billion parameter model. The only reasons you might want to do this is first, it's way faster, so you can use it for like quick questions, or you can install custom LLMs for specific use cases. So basically that's the media row. The next row, these are my money apps.
And my favorite one right here is Copilot Money,
who is also kindly sponsoring this video. So Copilot Money is a finance and budgeting app that I've been using for nearly 3 years now, even before they sponsor any of my videos. I can use it to go through and check my finances, update everything, and make sure I'm on track to reaching my financial goals, all from just my phone at a cafe. I used to do everything manually, and even at one point in college, I had a super extensive Excel sheet. And so it's really amazing that now we have a tool like this that makes it accessible for anyone to keep track of their finances without spending hours and hours every single week. I think the investing tab in Copilot Money is honestly way better than most brokerage apps. You can compare performance against the index or any other investments. This app really gives you a all-in-one picture of your financial health. And as somebody who quit their job a few years ago and is now self-employed, my income right now comes from many different sources. So having one app where I can see everything all at once is extremely helpful. Personally, I probably use the subscription tracker the most. It automatically categorizes your recurring subscriptions, and you can see if they overcharged you, which has happened to me before, or you can make sure that you're not spending too much on subscriptions. One of their most popular features, which I also highly recommend, is the goal feature. So you can use that to save up to something big like a trip, or even something small just by saving a few dollars here and there. But you can use Copilot Money on iPhone, Mac, iPad, and even the web. So check out the link right here so they know that I sent you. If you want to try it out, make sure to use the code Reysu2 to get 2 months off completely for free. And let's get back into the video. Yeah, this next subgroup of apps are Japan apps, and basically are just the apps that I use a lot in Japan, because they don't use Yelp, for example, and they use a special app for paying money in Venmo. So yeah, that's the Japan folder. The next one is Claude. So I use Claude along with Perplexity, but kind of for two different use cases. So Perplexity, I use it to search for things because I think it has the most accurate results, especially because it cites everything. But Claude is better for project-based things. For example, like You could upload a bunch of documents and you could ask the questions about it because it has all the context, or it could have this entire code base and you can have it fix a bug or ask it specific questions. And that's not something you can really do in Perplexity. But yeah, I've been using Claude Code a lot recently, especially on the computer. It's super powerful. I think there's at least 100x improvements since 2 years ago. So if you haven't tried it, I definitely recommend trying it out. Okay, the last app on this homepage is Calculator app, which I just have it set up so that I can easily type in like a Japanese price and I can see how much it is in USD. Yeah, in Japan, you can get a full meal for like 500 yen. So that's like $3. On the bottom row, these are the apps that I probably use the most. So the first one is the workout app that I use, and it's called Strong. So I've used this app for probably like 7 years now. It just works. You can create a custom routine, and then every time you want to work out, you can just click in and start it, which really just makes it way easier and way less friction for me to do my workouts. I just go there, click start workout, and I just do this list of exercises, and then I'm done. So yeah, this is my favorite workout app that I've been using for 7 years. Next one is Things 3. So this is the app that I use for to-dos. I've talked about this, I think more than a few times on the channel now, but this is my favorite to-dos app. And it's pretty similar to Strong. Like, it's not like there's a killer feature, but it just works, which is what you want for a to-do app or for a workout app. You don't want it to have a bunch of crazy AI features. You just want it to do the exact thing that's supposed to do really well. And that's what Things is. So Things, I've actually made a video about it in my memberships, but you can be as complex or as simple as you want. With Things, it syncs across all of your Apple devices. And especially on your computer, it's really easy to add a to-do. Like, there's a keyboard shortcut that you can type anywhere. And no matter what you're doing, you can easily just type in something you have to do and then just offload it for another time. The whole concept of Things 3 is based on this book called the Getting Things Done System. And I definitely feel like this is one of my favorite productivity apps. All right, so next up, we got Google Maps, which is pretty essential in Japan to get directions and also train directions. The last app on here is Obsidian. So Obsidian is the note-taking app that I primarily use. And I use it pretty much for everything. I've made a few videos on this of why I use this. So if you're interested, you can check that out. But yeah, I use Obsidian. And moving on to the next page. On this page, I just have 2 widgets. So if you know what the Whoop is, the Whoop is a fitness tracker that you can wear in different parts of your body. So you can wear it on your bicep or on your wrist. I just wear it here because then I kind of forget about it. And then you get analytics about your recovery, your sleep. And the reason why I like the Whoop is basically for that reason that, you know, once I put it here, I kind of just forget about it. The battery life also lasts a few weeks. So you don't have to charge it like once or twice in a month. So it's pretty convenient. I actually lost my Whoop a few months back, I think at a hotel. But yeah, recently I met up with Shervin Shares, this other content creator, and he had 2 Whoops. So he actually gave me his, and this is his Whoop. So yeah, thank you, Shervin Shares. This next app right here, this is one of my favorite apps recently, and this is called Anki Lock. So what this app does is if you use Anki, you can make it so that your phone is locked down until you finish your Anki reps. So for example, you can set it so that until you finish your Anki cards for the day, you can't open up your messages, you can't open up the news app, and you can't use social media. And I found it to be super effective in maintaining the habit of Anki effortlessly. So yeah, if you use Anki, I highly recommend Anki Lock, and it's also completely free. So yeah, those are the main apps that I use. But besides that, I also want to share with you some of the shortcuts that I've set up in the control center that can help you make your phone more useful. So this first button right here, these are color filters. So you can set up color filters so that it blocks out blue light. And this is essentially the same thing as wearing blue light blocking glasses. So if I'm using my phone late at night, for whatever reason, it's just so much easier on the eyes when I have this setting up. This next one is called Reduce White Point. This is also a similar thing. If you want your phone to be at a lower brightness than the lowest brightness, you can enable this thing called Reduce White Point in accessibility. And it basically, you can make it even darker. So this is useful at night, or if you just want to have like a super long battery life with a really dim display. This next one right here is the zoom filter. So you can also set this up in the accessibility settings, but you can set up the zoom filter to basically be grayscale. So if I ever want my phone to be grayscale, which I've used my phone grayscale for like multiple months before, I just have to click on that button and then everything is in grayscale. This next one right here that looks like a Safari mark, this is actually a shortcut. This one basically lets you go to the app settings just by hitting it. So if you have an app open and you swipe down and you click on this, it will take you to the app settings of that app. And this is surprisingly extremely convenient because you don't have to go through the app list and find the app that you want to change the settings of. So I'll link this shortcut in the description if you also want to add that. The next ones here, we have QR code, screen recording, flashlight, and Things 3. So this one is a Things 3 shortcut that lets you add a task without opening up the app. So it kind of just saves a few seconds. I've also set it up so that when I'm using the keyboard, I can use the same keyboard shortcut that I use on my Mac to add a to-do. This one right here on the bottom left, this is called Assistive Touch. So Assistive Touch is a setting you have to enable when you want to use a mouse with your iPhone. This next one right here is called Full Keyboard Access. So you also need to enable this if you want to connect to a keyboard. So I just have the mouse and keyboard setting here so that whenever I want to use the setup, which I showed in the last video, which is basically like having my phone on a stand, having my portable keyboard. Whenever I want to have this setup, for example, like at a cafe or something, I just turn on these two and then I can have this setup. This one right here is called background noise. So this is a new thing that's built into iOS where you can have it play like white noise or rain sounds or fire sounds. And I use it sometimes when I don't really want to listen to music, but I want to have some sort of sound, especially when I'm working. Yeah, this last one right here, it kind of just saves a second, but it opens up the camera in Claude. So I can just take a picture and ask it something. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to try to respond to all the comments. See you in the next video. Let's get it.